What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all doing well. Today I've got a story which I'm really excited for you to hear. It's one where I'm going to need your guys' help, to be honest, to come to a legitimate, rounded conclusion and to answer this big question as to what this woman in this story should do. So to give a brief indication of what is going on here, this woman's boyfriend, she finds out, has actually been lying to his family about not only himself, his job, his life, but also his girlfriend's life, her job, etc. for years. Now she has the decision to make. Does she keep up with her boyfriend's lies, or does she tell the truth when she finally meets his parents in real life? So without further ado, let's get into this one. Make sure you're subscribed. Get ready to give your comments down below because I really want to hear your thoughts on this story in particular. Let's get into it. My boyfriend expects me to keep up a lie with his family, but it feels wrong. So, my boyfriend and I have been together for 4 years. Guys, they're both 28 years old. OP is a woman. We live across the country from his parents. So, this Christmas is the first time I will actually be meeting them. They are hosting us at their house for 2 weeks. I'm super thrilled to meet his family. It will be his parents and 2 siblings that still live at home. He has met my parents quite a few times because they live in the same area as us. He moved here for school about 10 years ago and loved it. Found a job and stayed. Everything is going amazingly. We moved in together 2 years ago and our relationship is just progressing naturally. We aren't really in a rush to try and move quickly or anything, but I will call it a very serious relationship at this point. So, anyway, yesterday we boarded our 6-hour flights. He seemed a little bit nervous and fidgety, but I know that he doesn't fly very much, so I attributed it to that, and I told him I was there for him if he needed anything, to comfort him, and to let me know if I could do anything to calm his nerves. He said it was fine, and we were having a pretty good flight. Now, partway through the flight, he grabs my hand and tells me he wants to tell me something. He tells me that his parents think that we are a fairly new relationship. They don't know that we live together. They don't know that he is close with my family. He told them that we met at work, when in reality we met at school years ago. We had a lot of the same classes and met in school, but we stayed friends for a long time. He tells me that they think he lives in an entirely different city. He lied to them about what degree he has, and they think he has an entirely different job. He told me that a few white lies about making his parents happy so they'd keep sending him money during school snowballed into not knowing how to tell them, and he pretty much has a totally fake life in their eyes now. He told them that I work in the same field as his fake job, even though I don't. He gave them a totally random family backstory on me. He really wants me to keep up appearances with the stories he told them over this holiday because he doesn't want to make a big scene and be embarrassed about having to lay it all out, and would prefer to wait until we get home again to tell them everything. I feel extremely uncomfortable with this, and I was honestly pretty shocked. I've said hello to his mum on speakerphone conversations, popped in for a Skype hello when they were chatting, and honestly, I had no idea that he had made up a huge story about us and me. I realise now that I've only actually spoken to her in the last year, which is how long his family thinks we've been together. It makes me feel like I can't trust him. He promised me that this is the only thing he's ever lied about. He said he lied about it because he wanted his parents to be happy with his decisions and wanted them to think he was making the choices they wanted for him. Would it be reasonable to assume that these are the only lies he's told and he hasn't fabricated anything within our own relationship? He never told me they didn't know anything about us. He always just made it seem like they did. I'm not really sure where to go from here or how to tell him that I don't want to do this. His parents paid for our tickets. Would the nice thing to do just be to close my mouth and let him sort this out on his own when we get home and just play along? I don't know what to do. We got here yesterday and everyone is fabulous, but so far I've just kept my mouth shut about everything. The first big family dinner is tonight, which I expect is where most of the conversation about us and what we do is going to come up, and I'm not sure how to handle it. Oh my goodness me. What a web of lies your boyfriend has constructed, OP. Right from the very beginning, this has all been leading to this moment, I feel like, and just getting worse and worse and worse. This is why these white lies that you start off with that you think are harmless, if you don't sort of deal with them pretty soon and sort of swallow your pride and admit to the facts, or just be honest with whoever it is, then you can become absolutely tangled in this web like OP's boyfriend is now. It's insane. And you know what? Like I would never do this myself, but I'd be lying if I said I'd never told a white lie before, maintain that white lie to, for my pride, or just so I don't get found out. And then it becomes a bigger thing, which actually you're like, well, I've got to keep this up because I've already said this lie in the past, but now it's way more intense and way more than I ever thought it would be when I just said that white lie at the start. This is like the ultimate version of that, where, 4 years of lies. It's crazy. What I would say from your perspective, OP, is you have just got to say to your boyfriend, this is all on you. I'm not going to lie for your sake. I'm just not going to. I'm going to tell the truth the whole time because that's who I am as a person. And if you want to maintain this lie while I'm saying the opposite, that's on you. And this is your family, so you're going to have to deal with the consequences. You can do whatever you want, and the way you act in this dinner and with your family and me in general is up to you, of course. But, I'm going to tell the truth. And if you want to keep lying, that's on you. Now, I think you say that to your boyfriend, and then your boyfriend has a choice to make. Does he maintain this lie and, just become even more of a coward? That's ultimately what he's doing. And I get it, like he's put himself in this position, but he's done it to try and appease his parents over the years, and now it's just got too big for him. But what might happen at this dinner? Like you say, or your boyfriend's parents ask you, or how's your job going? You just say what your actual job is, and then just be honest. They say, oh, hang on, but we thought your job was this. You say, no, it's this. Then you see how your boyfriend reacts. If your boyfriend then says, wait, hang on, honey, no it is, that's not your job, blah blah blah, and he still wants to maintain this lie, then that's a question about your relationship with him ultimately, and you think, do I want to be with somebody that's lying about my job to his family? No. If he then at that moment comes clean and says, this is what's been happening over all these years, then there you go. The risk that you take by going along with this lie for now is that I know he said that when you get back, he'll come clean and he'll tell his family over the phone. He might not do that. And in fact, I would say that he's probably not likely to do that. It's been such a long time anyway, right? It's been 4 years. Why now? If anything, like this could go on forever, indefinitely. I think it's up to him what he wants to do, but you have got to tell the truth if that's what you want to do. Those are my thoughts. Let's see what the comments on Reddit were saying. And of course, we've got an update to come for this one as well. Somebody said, and they quoted this, his parents paid for our tickets. Would the nice thing to do just be close my mouth and let him sort this out on his own when we get home and just play along? Well, actually, why would continuing to lie to these people be the best way to repay them for your flight? That's a good question. OP replied, I just meant that I don't want to be the reason there's a huge blowout if this is something that I should be letting him keep between them, the people directly affected. I didn't mean I want to thank them by being a horrible person. I get what OP's saying. Like, they pay for you to come out there, have a good time. If you are the one that tells them, I suppose, that their son's been lying, then you, I guess, are the reason why the trip's not going to go well, even though you're obviously not. It's actually just their son. Somebody else said, I don't think you can ever trust your boyfriend again. He's lying because he's afraid to disappoint his parents, and there's no reason he wouldn't do the same to you. If he gets fired from his job, he might just pretend he's still going to work every day and never tell you. If he cheats on you, he'll never admit it. If he goes into debt, he'll keep it secret and pretend everything is fine while it continues to get worse. He didn't tell you about the situation with his parents until the last minute when he had no other option except the option to come clean, which he didn't take. That is the level of truthfulness and integrity you can expect from him. He'll lie to you when it makes him look better or to cover for one of his previous lies, and he'll tell you the truth when he's all out of other options. That is a great comment, and I'd actually forgotten what OP said. Is this an indication of what else he might do, what else he might lie about? And I think I have to agree with this comment. Yes. If he's willing to lie to his parents, he's definitely willing to lie to you, and that is very, very worrying. OP replied, it's really hard to swallow that. I do see what you're saying though. The same person then said, I'd be more understanding if his parents had impossible standards that he could never live up to, and he had to lie to them to just maintain his peace and sanity. But that's not the impression I'm getting. It sounds like he's been lying about a lot of things for a long time, and he still thinks he can get out of it by telling more lies. I would tell him to come clean with his parents before dinner, because you won't cover for him. If he does it and actually faces the consequences of his lies for once, maybe he can learn something from this and change his ways. Great comment once again from this user. OP said, yeah, that's true. And yes, his parents weren't expecting a surgeon or anything. They think he teaches, but he's an architect. It's still they think he teaches, but he's an architect. Being an architect, in the UK at least, is one of the hardest things to be. It's extremely challenging to qualify as an architect. It's a 7-year course to become an architect. That's insane. Why does he not feel comfortable telling his parents that? Yeah, being a teacher is great, but it's harder to become an architect. Like, just statistically. That's just the facts. Anyway, OP continues, it's still an awesome profession and in no way lesser than a teacher, so I don't understand it at all. I think I'll have to tell him. Either he has to come clean, or I'm answering honestly at dinner. Great. I completely agree with all of that. Somebody said, yeah, that is weird. I feel like most people think of an architect as being more prestigious than a teacher. OP says, exactly. I wouldn't say necessarily more prestigious, but equally as respectable as a career choice is definitely what I would say to that. As I said, it's very hard to become an architect. I actually did an internship at an architect firm a long time ago now, and those guys work very hard, and as I said, it takes 7 years to even qualify as one. Finally, somebody said, what I don't understand is that the guy is an architect when his parents wanted him to be a teacher. How can he think so poorly of his own parents who paid for his education to assume they wouldn't respect his choices? Unless they're crazy strict or abusive, I don't understand why you would conceal so much. OP replied, yeah, it's a fabulous job and he has wonderful parents. I'm sure they'd be incredibly proud. His younger sister is a McDonald's manager and they treat her promotions as they would if she had just made partner at a law firm. There's no way they'd be disappointed. I feel so frustrated at him and honestly, I feel betrayed for his parents. They paid his way. It's so frustrating to feel trapped in this situation. Very, very interesting stuff. I've already given my thoughts, so let's get straight into the update. There are actually 2 updates here, but let's get into... Actually, there are 3 updates. Sorry, but let's get into the first one. So, I decided to tell him that I won't be perpetuating the lies, but I won't outright say anything because I don't feel like it would be appropriate for me to be the reason that everything blows up. I actually decided not to go to the first family dinner, and I'm unsure if I'm going to stay at this point, but I don't really know what to do. I didn't pay for the ticket, so I feel really horrible about seeming ungrateful, but I got a hotel for 3 nights just to figure out what I'm going to do. I'm still thinking because everything is just so intertwined and complicated, our bank accounts, our rental agreement, etc. So apart from the fact that I want to make this relationship work because I love him, it's also not really simple enough for me to just break away and leave. I want to work this out for everyone and figure out how to help him tell his family before we go. Anyway, I'm so sorry I'm so late for updating, but I'll update again when I have a more concrete plan. His family is amazing, and I feel wretched about everything. This is the thing that's so interesting to me, as another commenter said. If his family and his parents were just unbelievably pressurizing on him and just they had the most unrealistic expectations of what they wanted from their son, I would understand his actions a lot more. But it seems like they're not at all like that. I mean, the thing with his sister's job kind of just shows that. Anyway, the next day we did get an update. Okay, I think we have come to what will hopefully be the start of a resolution. So, I told his mum that I was so incredibly grateful for her generosity so far, even just one day into the trip, which is why I actually needed to take some time away and stay at a hotel for a few days, because staying with her didn't feel right until we cleared up some serious personal issues that have just come to light. I talked to my boyfriend and we decided on a plan. Tomorrow morning, his mum and dad are meeting us in a restaurant in the hotel. I offered to take them to brunch to discuss everything. I told him and his mum, separately, that I really want to be a part of this family, and for that to happen, we all need to have a big conversation. The plan is, at brunch, my boyfriend is going to lay everything out on the table. I'm going to explain to them that I didn't even realize the lies that had been going on, and I wasn't comfortable staying there and lying to their face, and that I just found out about this the day we landed. I wanted to make sure that my boyfriend resolved this with them, because from the moment I found out, I felt horrible, and I wanted to get off on the right foot with them. We both wanted to make sure that my boyfriend came clean while we were here. When I was talking to my boyfriend, there were definitely some tears, and I think he's going to feel so much weight off his chest when we finally talk about this. I really don't think he wanted or intended for this to happen. I don't think he would have brought me here if he wasn't okay with the truth eventually coming out. I will definitely update when the conversation happens. Thank you so much for the advice and support, everyone. Okay, now before we get into the third and final update, I just want to have a look at some comments. Somebody asked, is this a cultural thing maybe? I know some ethnicities get so much trash from parents, kids learn to just lie reflexively. Of course, you should break up, but since you don't want to snoop on his actual life, he's likely lying about what he's lying about. OP replied to that saying, I don't think so, honestly. They're pretty secular, white-bread Irish folk. I honestly couldn't see it being cultural. But maybe, I guess. I'm not sure what Irish people are normally like with their kids. Now, somebody else said, and this is super interesting, maybe the boyfriend is lying about being an architect. I suppose if he's lying about what you do to his parents, he could be lying about what he does to you. But OP said, I know for sure he is an architect. I'm not worried about that part, genuinely. He does a lot of work from our home office. We also hosted the Christmas party for his office the last 2 years, so I know his bosses and co-workers really well. I'm 100% positive they would have corrected me or not mentioned him during conversations and discussions about design projects. He's in a semi-senior role at his work, and I frequently stop by his office after work. We usually meet in the reception area to drive home. His office also has his name and job title, Project Manager, on his door. Trust me, he could not be fabricating the career with me so close and our general relationship with the office. Not trying to argue with you or anything, as I'm sure there's other lies, but his career and our bills are totally kosher. There's no worries there. Imagine if your boyfriend had gone through that unbelievable amount of effort to lie about being an architect as well, and had hired some actors for your Christmas parties, had hired a reception area, and made a sign with his name on it and project manager. That would be elite, but sadly that's not the case. OP continues, I'm an industrial designer and I'm familiar enough with the career and I've worked long enough in the field that I would catch a lie about his work pretty instantly. My guess is that it's something to do with his parents funding him and assuming he has an education degree because that's what he told them he was taking for some reason. Whether he knew right away that wasn't what he was going to do or he changed once he got to school, I honestly have no idea. We hadn't met at that time yet. That's the reason it's so strange and frustrating for me, because he has a fabulous career. These are the things that ultimately right now that you know that he's been lying all this time, you need to work out and you need to ask him about. Okay, so this is the final update posted 2 days later. It feels like so much to have to type out, so I'm going to try to condense it to be as straightforward and simple as possible. Basically, the brunch went really well. I was very impressed by my boyfriend. He was actually really forthcoming and laid pretty much everything out. He apologized to me and his parents, and he gave me an opportunity to tell them anything I wanted to tell them about my actual family, my life. They were really interested, and it was really refreshing just to start to get to know them on an honest level. He basically came clean about absolutely everything, including some other personal stuff that I didn't even know about that he had told myself and them. He apologized and promised he was going to take steps to earn our trust back, including therapy. It really actually felt like it brought us closer together. His parents were quite hurt and initially upset, but I think it really did a lot for what they thought of me as a partner for their son and future daughter-in-law, which I'm really happy about. They were really supportive in the end and told him that basically at the end of the day he is still loved and they will just have to start building that trust up again. I'm going to continue staying at their house now, and they will tell his siblings together. I actually ended up sitting down for a cup of tea at their place with his mum, and she did explain to me that she's going to talk to him privately about the pressure he might have felt to lie to them, because I guess they realise now that they put more pressure into him than any of the other kids, because he was originally going to follow his dad's footsteps as an English teacher. She told me that she really likes me, and she hopes it doesn't affect my view of their family or her son. She thanked me for pushing for the honesty, and she can't wait for the opportunity to get closer to us. My boyfriend also seems so much more open to having conversations about coming back and having them come stay with us. It really worked out in the long run for me to not make any hasty decisions, because I'm really happy with how this turned out. To me, it just seems like just mistakes on both ends that culminated in a really bad choice on his end. Thank you again, everyone, for the advice. Okay, and there we go. That is the end of that story. A good ending, to be honest. I was slightly worried that this wasn't going to be resolved, but it sounds like it has been, and you guys are going to be able to move forward from this. And yeah, everything's going to be good, which is sweet, because it would be a shame if this was like a really big character trait of your boyfriend, that he was just too scared to tell the truth, or didn't tell the truth often for whatever reason. And you weren't ever able to trust him again. Obviously, like, you're still going to have to build trust in him, as are his parents. But yeah, the fact is, at least he's now owned it. You helped him massively, of course, but what he's just done there is the hardest bit. Now it should be a lot easier. And hopefully as well, now he'll think, well, I'm never doing that again. Look at that web of lies that I got tangled in. That was horrible. Now, the reason I really enjoyed that story is because it's actually, I can resonate with it quite a lot. One of my friends did something very similar to this, and sort of, yeah, all of a sudden got trapped in his own web of lies, lost his job, didn't tell us about it, was kind of pretending that he was still going to the job, etc., etc., and it was a bit weird. And ultimately, when we talked to him about it, I think the main thing was he was just too proud to actually openly say, listen, I lost my job, or yeah, I'm not getting paid, etc., etc. And he didn't tell his parents either. So they and similar to this, like, they're not super demanding of him, or they're not like, they don't ask crazy things or pressure him, I don't think, to, you know, do things that are unreasonable or have an unreasonable career. It's just sort of the pressure that he puts on himself. And when that happened, he I suppose just didn't want people to know about it, couldn't really face that fact. But again, like with all these things, the truth is always eventually going to come out. And then I feel like now, if that was to happen to him again, he would act completely differently for the better. Because ultimately, like, if you do lie about these things, and I'm a bit more like that. Like, if that happened to me, I'd be like, oh, that's like absolutely gutting, maybe slightly embarrassing, whatever. And I wouldn't want people to know. I feel like shame, which you shouldn't, because, you know, everyone loses their job. Or yeah, I mean, he didn't even lose his job. It was just that comment that was saying if he gets fired from his job, he might pretend he's still going to work every day and never tell you. Yeah, that happened to me. But again, like, I can kind of see it. Like, you're just too proud. But ultimately, it's going to hurt you not telling the truth. And also, the main point is, if you do lose your job, or if you don't have a career that your parents necessarily wanted you to have, even though that wasn't really the case in this story, like, everyone is still going to love you, surely. Because who really cares what job anyone has, ultimately? I don't care. As long as you're happy, as long as people are happy, then that's all good. It's sad that OP's boyfriend felt this way for such a long time. I can't imagine, like, the mental torment that was going on, like the anguish. But as I said, I feel like now it's resolved, and this shouldn't happen in the future, because he will always think back to how terrible this was, maintaining this lie for so many years. But anyway, guys, that is going to do it for this one. Drop your comments down below. As I said in the intro, I want to hear your thoughts on this one. Get your comments in, as always. I'll go through. I really enjoy going through pretty much as soon as I post the episode. I'll give it like half an hour for you guys to listen to the story in full. Then I'll just enjoy going through the comments. You'll see me. I'll drop some heart reacts down there. I might reply to a comment or two if they're really good and they make me think. So yeah, get in the comments down below. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Watch some more over here, and I'll catch you on the next one.